I think your first role that got you noticed was on Shameless. Why do you think that role was so big? I mean, it's a critically acclaimed show, so what do you think it is about that show?
The kind of idea that is shameless resonates. The people who are living off the system. What are they doing? So I think that was great, and obviously the character was just. He was just a unique and cool kind of. Almost a happy accident that happened. So I think that's why, I don't know, it resonated, and I certainly had a lot of fun, so maybe that's why it was fun to watch.
Well, you can say that again. You played Jodie, a former sex addict, I should say. I've seen some scenes, and there was this dialogue about like the trouble of a sex addict and having sex like 23 times a day. Yeah. Did you have trouble getting through that scene, like, seriously?
Well, yeah, it was the dialogue was really funny and extremely difficult to kind of not break during, but there was definitely a lot of moments where you just kind of break down and start laughing. But regardless of what you're kind of saying and how ridiculous it is, I think the humor was in that, that to him it was serious and he was taking it really serious, and so that's what we tried to attain, and I got through it as best I could.
And there was also a web show connected to it. Mm-hmm. In which you lifted 15 kilograms.
Yeah, that's funny. Obviously we didn't really do it. It was like a little.
You didn't?
No, it was a camera gag. Actually, we had that attached to like a broomstick, and someone was holding it behind me, through my legs, doing that in that shot. It was. I remember they called me. They were like, "Hey, we have this ridiculous idea for this, Shameless Guide to the Galaxy thing," and it was. I was like. Sure. A lot of times on that show, it's like the scripts would come in, I'd read them, and I'd be like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. All right, that's what we're going to do today. And we'd just do it. So it was, it was fun. It was a good time.
How many takes did that one take?
I think we only did that one or two times. Actually, that show, a lot of it is done fairly quickly, like one or two kind of takes, and it's on to it. Almost documentary style. And
after that, you pretty much jumped right into Black Sails, I believe. Mm-hmm. We spoke to Tom Hopper in November, and he said the regimen to get his body ready was just really, really hard. Did it go any easier for you?
Oh yeah, see, I always stay in shape, so I've always kind of done that. And for the show, I did a lot of working out, but I did a kind of a different workout than most of the other people on the show. They all went into to like a specific gym training thing where they did weightlifting, and I had my own program that I followed, which included plenty of rum, So yeah, I actually had a great time getting in shape for the part.
Good, that's better, just the natural way.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what is your favorite part about playing Captain Vane, pirate?
Captain Vane was a special character to me to play, and I think maybe the most fun part about him was just his uncompromising nature. Normally you play someone, or a lot depends on who you play, but not everyone you play is as righteous and extreme as him. So it's fun playing absolutes, and he was a very much absolutist.
And how important is the fan base for you?
Oh, for me, fans are kind of everything. Unless you have kind of people watching it. It's not the same. You don't just do it for you. You do it for the other people too. And so I think the more you get that response, the better it feels. I don't know. Maybe that's it's just part of what it is. But to me, I love fan reactions from things, and the idea that I'd spent a lot of time in my life working as an actor where no one really cared about what you're doing at all. So when people care, it's just really cool. It's almost like anything. It's like if you cook a good meal, it's great to eat it yourself, but it's also great when someone eats it and they think it's great too. It's that.
Yeah. And after that, you went on to The 100, which also has a very strong fan base. Did you notice any difference between them, or did people follow you from one show to another?
I guess some people do follow from one show to the other, but yeah, you also definitely do notice there's a different fan base, and I'm sure they cross over as well. Like, I mean, The 100, for instance, just tends to be a little bit of a younger fan base than like what you have on Black Sails, but there's plenty of young fans on Black Sails as well. So, it's all just kind of stereotyping a fan base, but in reality, The 100 is a very passionate fan base, very very opinionated group of individuals, which is cool. For me, I'm just once again, it's just cool to see people care what's going on, and funny to see how they react, similarly or differently to characters and whatnot.
And what was it like to play in a post-apocalyptic world?
It's interesting. It was like going from, the past into the future. And I'd say that the post-apocalyptic world of The 100 is certainly a great device for great storytelling on television, because it just allowed for so much conflict, and the stakes were always so high on it. So I think, in that way, it makes for good television.
And I think because when you started as Prince or King Rowan, he was kind of like a villain kind of type, but I think he definitely had a likability, like the way he grew. What do you think it is about him that made him likable and made you actually, like, I thought it was sad to see him go, So What do you think it was about him?
Well, I think Rowan, you meet him and he's like a bounty hunter, who's like, dragging, Clark around like tied up, and she's like gagged her, and you definitely
great intro, by the way.
Yeah, he then gets introduced. You're certainly not sure what his intentions are, but then I think the backstory of it, finding out that he had been kind of banished and that he was like alone and without a community, and then he's let back into it and has to fight for his life against basically a superhero, and then his mom gets killed in front of him, and he becomes a king, and all that. I think like anything, when you watch someone struggle and you realize that their struggle is real, and that they're doing their best they can, and that they're not like intentionally being a bad person, like they're just trying to do that. And I think in that show, the fight for survival a lot of time takes precedence to what So it's kind of like, I don't know, in their new season, it's like the tagline right now is like, there are no heroes, just survivors, and I think that's that's really a question, and on TV especially. I think we let characters do some really crazy things, and we forgive them for them in ways I think we would not necessarily in real life.
Definitely Clark on that show.
Oh, for sure. Everyone has done some really messed up stuff. Yeah. I remember we were sitting in that show in season 4, and we're like literally like microwaving a human being to death, and I'm like, oh my God, this is.
Can it get any worse?
For God's sakes, we just put a person in a microwave.
Last year you were seen on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and this year I just had a couple more episodes there.
I was going to say, you just came back.
Yeah, that Russian, you just can't keep that Russian down.
How easy was it for you to do a Russian accent?
It was good. I'd done it a lot in voiceover jobs before, and I played Russians before, but just never on a big project that everyone's seen. So yeah, it's easy for me. I love playing that Russian. He's just. It's actually funny, like when the stuff that they don't see, like, cause he's always so intense, yeah. But like in between takes, like I'm always making jokes in the Russian character, cause he can actually be very funny. It's good fun to play him.
You had quite the makeover that. It took me a couple of seconds to realize it was you. Yeah. Was it a big change for you yourself?
Yeah, well, they cut all my hair off. Literally, I just come from the 100, and my hair was actually a little longer than it is right now. And I went to shoot there, and like the first day, Jed Wheaton came in and was just like, "Hey, we're gonna cut your hair off and like slick it back, like Russian style. You up for it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I've been playing long-haired characters long enough." And so he just cut it off, and we slicked it back, and literally, where did it go? They just like threw on a pea coat and some high-waisted wool pants and some combat boots, and gave me an onion and a test tube with a little frozen canister of vodka. It was nice.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so not stereotypical or anything.
And now the biggest thing for me, it was mind-blowing that your character ends up kind of like an AI. There's just the head and then like different bodies.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in all kind of creative endeavors in television and whatnot, just like on the 100, where you kind of want to, if you introduce a character as a villain, you're going to kind of want to push them towards being as much of a hero as possible. Same where if you introduce them as a hero, you're going to kind of push them towards being a villain. The same is true kind of with the Anton character. Not in that way. It's like, I mean, obviously they introduce him very villainously, but they introduce him like righteously, like human. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't like machines. Like he likes and he doesn't like computers. He likes solid machines and steel and blah blah. So the kind of and he wants to be the superior human. So you kind of like steer him towards, becoming a machine is good kind of irony.
And it's good to have you back. Do you think, because of course there's like different bodies now for you, you will be coming back on a regular basis?
Yeah, I've done a couple episodes. I've just been busy working on other things. I mean, I don't think, the way we've described him, I mean, he's almost like a Mr. Smith from like from the Matrix. He's like the Russian, like there's kind of like how many robotic bodies can they build? I don't know. I mean,
he'll never die.
We've already killed him 50 times, I think. I mean, I think he's been like exploded, crushed. So. Yeah, I think there's, and they think there's even farther they can take this whole thing. Like the head's still there. Well, what can they do? Can he become just all computer at one point or whatnot? I think that's.
Do you think that if the head gets destroyed, all of the others will be destroyed?
Well, it depends. It depends on whether his consciousness gets downloaded into into the framework or into some other version of that. I mean, in that sci-fi world, there's almost nowhere they can't go. So it really just depends on what they want to do. Yeah. And it shoots in Los Angeles, just down the road from where I live. So.
I was going to say you can actually spend time with your family this time.
Yeah, and I'm also working on another show too. That just came out. We're shooting a pilot for Untitled Bad Boys television show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little. I get to play another little bad boy, so we'll see.
Always fun.
Yeah, well, he won't be Russian this time.
New accent though.
No. This guy will sound a lot like I do. He'll sound a little bit like this guy.
We'll recognize him then.
Yeah.
A friend of mine said she read online that your character was going to die. Spoiler, by the way. So she stopped watching the episode before because she couldn't handle watching you die. Have you ever heard any more of those comments that people stopped?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that from people that when they killed him, they stopped watching the show and all that. Hey, I know how it goes. To me, if you can't take it, then obviously don't watch it. But for me, I was able to watch it. I actually really loved kind of the arc we gave him over the course of the show, from how he was kind of introduced to how he went out. So in the end, like creatively, I couldn't be more happy with kind of how it went. I'm sad to not be around him, but at the same time, like I can just I can look in the mirror and Charles is always just a mirror away from me.